All right, we have improv on Friday night because it's Friday night, and that's the night when we all just get to have a little bit of fun. Got a wonderful group of people here that are going to do a conducted story for you, and we already went out and got ourselves a title for this conducted story, and the title is Betty Came After the Moon. I'm going to have people tell you what their genre, as they get to tell their part of the story, they're going to tell in the following genres. David, what's your genre?
My genre is self-help.
Self-help, lovely. Mark, what is your genre?
My genre is poetry.
Oh, that's lovely, poetry. Irene, what is your genre?
Hey, it's fashion.
Fashion, how lovely. Sandi, what is your genre?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi, excellent. And Jennie, how about you?
Melodrama.
So dramatic, yeah. Barry, how about you?
Young adult.
Ah, it's typecasting. You and me both, brother. Bonita, what are you doing?
Romance.
Right over here too. And Jeffrey, last but certainly not least, what is your genre?
Travel.
Travel, excellent. All right. So as I already said, the title of the story that has never been told before and will never be told again is Betty Came After the Moon. And here we go. We're going to start with David.
Feeling slightly trepidatious, Betty opened her front door, walking down the street as she said to herself, Betty, today's the day. You've got this today, Betty. She had started her day with her morning meditation. She'd had her fruit smoothie, had a great lunch, and a perfect dinner.
Freeze.
Everything was set.
Freeze. Over to you, Jennie, for melodrama.
She still wasn't over the pain of her previous relationship. It all happened so suddenly. One day she was in love, and the next day he was gone. She only wished that he didn't have to go, but he chose his future, and that was the future on Mars.
Freeze. Well, why don't we go to Sandi for sci-fi then?
Betty thought Mars was closer than the moon, but she didn't know the galaxies. And Mars just beckoned Peter away from Betty because the moons of Mars are way before and much more important than Betty could ever be.
Freeze. Over to Mark for poetry.
Betty was a very competitive, repetitive person. She felt her lover tugging at her heartstrings, and she had wings from herself, and she decided to sign up with NASA and go to the moon.
Freeze. Barry for adult fiction.
And all the junior astronauts came with Betty up to the moon. They realized that on the moon, they could be the one and only group that could cover the entire universe. And they would graduate the 9th grade.
Freeze. Over to you, Jeffrey, for travel book.
After coming to the human moon, Betty decided to make to the next stop to Peter, which is the Martian moon. Now, Phobos is a much smaller moon than our regular moon, and the colonies here have just begun forming. For example, this monument in the center of the Phobos City Hall Square marks the first astronaut who has came onto this moon.
Freeze. Bonita for romance.
Just before she descended to Phobos, her phone rang. She looked at it, and the caller ID said, the moon. and it was Peter. Should she answer it? Should she send it to voicemail? She didn't know. She cried. She clenched her jaw as the students, the junior astronauts, cheered her on. Pick up the phone. He loves you. Go to
Freeze.
him.
Over to you, Irene. Fashion.
As she picked it up, it was almost as if she was voguing. Right what the Martians needed to be inspired. Hello, Peter? Betty said. Peter, begging for help. I need you. I'm not making the cut.
Freeze. Barry.
And all the boys and girls realized that Peter was the one that they all wanted because he was such a hunk. And Peter looked out to all of the younger kids and said, "Follow me with Betty to our moon."
Freeze. Sandi.
And then when the children, those ninth graders, got Betty over to Peter on the Phobos moon, they looked at each other and it was like all the orbits of all the planets of all the galaxies surrounded them.
Freeze. Irene.
It was an inspiration. What could they do next? What was the next big hit? The big thing? What was the new Mars? They just didn't know.
Freeze. Bonita.
Peter, while the students were chanting him on, got down on one knee and pulled out a package, a small box, and he opened it, and it was a very, very shiny meteorite.
Freeze. Jennie.
Betty began to cry. She had gotten her heart and her hopes up, thinking that he might have been proposing. But instead, Peter started rambling and ranting about this meteorite that he found and was very precious to him.
Freeze. Jeffrey.
This particular meteorite is a rarity, and this Peter was actually the first person to detect this meteorite hitting the moon. He has gotten significant renown on this planet as an astronomer, as well as the dictator for life when he came to create this colony. And now,
Freeze. David.
And Betty looked at Peter, and she said, as she realized the words coming out of her mouth, Peter, I am better than this. I deserve more. You are not the right person for me. You don't love me for me, but I love me for me.
Freeze. Mark. Go ahead.
She said, "Peter, Peter, my pumpkin eater, I have some curds and whey for you. I am just like little Miss Muffet sitting on her tuffet, and I like to eat my curds and whey."
And that is our conducted story. Thank you, everybody. Hey, we're going to be back with more improv throughout the evening. So hang around and you'll get notifications whenever we go live. Thanks.